Right. Good morning. Welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday, 22nd of January. So let's firstly look at news events today coming out. In fact, I looked at the overnight news summary here, but today we've got very little coming out. The case of China is that events are still slowing. The economy is really slowing down there. Interest rates here being left alone, but it doesn't look wonderful there in terms of the economy. So can't see rates being increased in any way. If anything, the reduction may come quicker. Okay, so looking at the currencies themselves, there's nothing out today, nothing else out today in terms of news. So we're left purely to the technicals. So on the technical front, the euro's been sorry, I'll come back to the dailies here. Daily wise, we've just been getting this sort of bounce off the 200 MA, double bottom-y sort of price action. It has just probably just cracked over the top there, which would normally suggest we'll get a continuation, and we could still get a continuation of this move. It has put effectively put a higher low in on the lower time frames here. You just see that we just run over the highs there. Now with a double bottom like this, you would normally expect the depth of the double bottom to run up if it's going to go. It doesn't always go. It could just become a range. We could end up just sitting in a range. There's nothing really to drive the euro up or or down. Either way, it's a pretty neutral market out there at the moment. In fact, the risk still sits there with everything on the political side of life, and that's obviously just sitting in the background. Anyway, the pound was is flapping around. It again found some support off its daily 50 last week, higher lows coming through. Just a bit of a sell-off as we get cracking at the moment. We've got this ascending channel. I'm looking at this. I think the pound may have got a little bit ahead of itself. The strength of the pound outdone where it should be. The data's not particularly solid behind it, but for now anyway, it's been running to the upside. There's nothing stopping it but continuing in this channel at the moment. It's going to end up in a quite an ugly 4-hourly at 10. Well, it'll be 10 o'clock before that closes, so quite a while to go and quite a lot can change. So undecided on that at this stage, so I'll leave that alone personally in terms of trying to trade it. Dollar yen. Well, the yen's been had been shoving up quite well up until Thursday, Friday, when it just started to consolidate. We've got this sort of double top that's just broken through a little bit. Maybe we could get a breakdown the other side of this. It has put a lower high in on the hourlies. It's just looking a tad on the softer side here, but again, it's quite neutral. It's quite range bound. Not expecting it to do too much there. Aussie dollar, Aussie US dollar. To me, this still looks pretty bearish. We've broken through everything here. Yes, it did find a bit of support on its 500 MA, 4-hourly 500, 50 MA. It could be a reasonable swing short on this. Okay, dollar CAD. Now, this is one that's sort of the CAD's been strengthening against the others really. It's been putting its lower highs in against the US dollar here. US dollar is just softening up against the CAD. Just as I'm looking at it at the moment, looks like it's back into its daily pivot. It's got its weekly pivot just above. Be nice to see if it gets a reaction off of that. It's often it did it last week. Got a decent reaction off its pivots here. Say last week on Friday, often gets decent reactions off pivots. The Canadian dollar works particularly well. So I'll look at this morning and see if it gets up into its daily pivot itself. I don't really want to be shorting from where it is, but there is the potential. Maybe half entry, but I'd rather go all in at the right price. I say all in, 1% risk, that is. All 1% of it, not all in. New Zealand dollar, this remains pretty weak. We saw Thursday, Friday, it's sort of doing its little, finding its support off the 200. Is today going to be the day it rolls over? Probably just going to sit back in this range at the moment, the way everything's. I'm sort of looking at a lot of these markets thinking, is it going to be rangy? I'm still short on this, probably in the money by a little bit, not a lot. Would like to see the break of the lows here. It's not a big enough move for me to add into this position at the moment, but I'm still looking at for the downside there. So it's the New Zealand dollar. US dollar Swissy. Well, Swiss is just softened. We've got again consolidation around the highs here at the moment, which would suggest a continuation to the upside. Ugly day Friday and an ugly start of today, really not going anywhere, but as I said, the trend is still looking like it's got potential continuation. Now if you look at, of course, there is the moving averages here. It's a bit of a tight old one here because we've got the moving averages maybe providing some resistance, but there's the pivots maybe just drawing it above. We'll see how it goes, but it has put the higher low in. There's the potential for further upside. Really, for me, I'd like to see it for a bigger move for the upside. I'd like to see it breaking through its a yearly pivot there and trend line, but for now it is drifting that way. Euro yen, another market which has been, well, yesterday, last week at stages it got quite choppy, but like back here but it did eventually break out as the week went on. There it sort of started, there was the earlier moves, started breaking out, getting back into a trend again, a bit rangy at the moment. Now if it can break the highs here, it may be interesting again, but the overall picture on this looks reasonably positive to the upside. Not necessarily any trade setting up for me at this moment though. It's the thing with these markets, I'm looking through these thinking, well, we'll see something in a moment. Like another one that's quite choppy, and the euro pound often gets very correlated and very choppy. It's got a trend, and all I can really look at is this bigger trend. If it was to start turning back down again, yep, it could be a ride to the downside. It has double bottomed here, of course. Well, we'll see if we get more of a reaction off of that. Okay, so not a great deal in the majors at that point. I will go through the other cross pairs that I like to see in well, about 8:35. I get back on my little old school run, but for now let's have a look at other markets. Gold dropping back again this morning. Thursday, Friday started picking up, bouncing off its yearly pivot there. It's still wonder if we'll get more. I would have expected more to the upside, but the bigger picture here really with these lower highs in is quite weak for gold at the moment. Of course, as I said, that could all change, but it's not looking the strongest. Similar thing here with oil, still expected it to do. So our highs kicking through in this short time frame, not looking particularly, it's not an easy one to trade, and when it gets like that, why bother trying to trade it? S&Ps went to 2-year highs, flew out. There's just us slightly not so young ones. Anyway, the 500 here pushing up is pushing up again this morning at the moment, quite solid as it sits. Higher lows running through there. It's sort of buying the retraces is the clue at the moment to it. We've seen the NZDUSD sort of being the leading player of it. It pushed through just a little bit earlier. It's solid there, solid upside. the DAX, again, finding nice support off its pivot there in the end on the dailies, pushing through on Friday, getting more of a leg up. Sorry, that's not the DAX at all. That was the. I thought it looked a bit strange that I was doing quite so well. There we go. There's the DAX. Sorry, that was the Dow. The DAX. That's better. So it's in this descending channel, but it must be closing in towards the highs of the channel without drawing the lines on there. But again, it looks a bit more positive at the moment. FTSE is up marginally on the futures at the moment, but it's quite the ugly one, and really doesn't look great for the upside at this stage. Needs some real boost to get it up moving. Okay, quick look at Bitcoin as I do a few times a week, and that's not looking pretty. So Bitcoin really disappointing, I should imagine, a lot of people. It was a big the big calls that it was going to go and hit the moon, and as expected, it sold on the news. The news was in it from back here somewhere. It was really being pushed into this market. As chances are, it could be looking to break these lows here and maybe pull back even further. I'm very suspicious of it at the best of times. Need to get a glass of water. Right, anyway, so looking soft at the moment. Right, on that cheerful note, I hope the weather of you in the UK is okay where you are, and I will catch you either in the room or I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye for now.